And now to a different kind of visual art. An aspect of the artistic imagination I've always admired is the ability to find uses for objects and materials other than that for which they were intended. Step into the studio of Dani Marti and you might think you've wandered into a small factory. Although trained as a painter, it's rope in every size, texture and hue that is the raw material for Dani's dynamic woven constructions.
I'm very interested in blackness. Big painters like Velázquez, Goya, and the way they portray blackness, I'm really interested in that. In the last 2 years, I've been spending a lot of time in Glasgow, in the UK. So you belong to nowhere and belong to everywhere at the same time. I'm originally from Barcelona and I came to Australia in 1988. The fact that I'm living here in Australia as an outsider and I can relate in a much better way to what constitutes Spanish heritage. And if you look to classical black has been a very important component of Spanish culture. The Spanish brocade, Spanish fashion, or how people relate to blackness in Spain.
I'm interested in the concept of portraiture, not in the conventional way. I'm particularly interested in creating these emotional portraits. Behind all my work, there's always a sense of someone there. Through the woven work, there's like this very coded language that gets translated through me making the work, creating this very strong relationship with me and the subjects. It's like the grandmother is like keeps on knitting for the grandson, and it's through that very strong connection with the person being portrayed. Most of my work I use these industrial materials, ropes they use for maybe for rock climbing or ropes they use for protective purposes, to protect furniture, or meshes used for farming mussels.
There's a very strong sense of physicality. In the portrait here of Braveheart, for example, it's very important the whole pulling through, the strength involved, particularly towards the end, that we have to pull with big pliers. So it's all these mechanisms of things like that, very, very intense. The nature of the ropes and the width is very different to, for example, the work I did of representing my mother.
For that portrait, I've been using very fine ropes and stainless steel ball chains, and there's a really very softness to the whole thing.
Thinner ropes demand more time spent with the subject.
My mother, she was going through a very dark patch. She had a bit of a heart attack, and she was feeling very down, very depressed. One day, one afternoon, she said to me, "Look, I'm going to listen to Rachmaninoff. All that angst, all that sadness she had inside of her, she needed to release it." She sat down in the living room and I said to her, "Look, do you mind if I stay with you in that moment and film you?" And she was fine with it. Many times I portrayed my subjects first through video, taping them, and then they get translated onto a woven work and a woven surface. And it's important for me the physicality in both the making, the weaving, this very strong relationship between me and the subject, that is strength, that obsessiveness gets translated as well in the way I portrayed with the video.
For this show here at One Gallery, I created this series made with those necklaces. It's like this obsession about collecting all those stories about those women behind those necklaces. And even in one instant, I collected one necklace for my mother. And that's the one here. You can see Hitchcock's films with Grace Kelly with the pearl necklaces around their neck and the long neck. So it's very, very phallic connotations to the whole thing.
One of the most monumental works that I've done is a work at the Docklands that was commissioned down in Melbourne. For this work, the whole idea was to make an original piece
and with a bit of shape using nautical ropes, and the whole thing got cast in concrete. So we did the whole thing from initial woven work woven in nylon, and then from that we made molds, and then we cast about 150 replicas, all in concrete. And so the whole thing runs for 32 meters by 8 meters high. I'm interested in both works, both the video works and the woven works, to have a very strong attraction with the viewer, so the viewer feels attracted to the piece of work. But at the same time, I want the work not to have a closed meaning, so to be quite open to interpretation.
Beautiful, aren't they? Some of Dani Marti's work can currently be seen at the UTS Gallery in Sydney until August. But there's art happenings going on all over this big country of ours. Get onto our website and take a look at our art map to see what's happening near you.